Today I'm going to show you how to use content-aware fill and other Photoshop skills to put Robert Pattinson in a banana suit while watching the sunset. The first step here is to find a picture of a man in a banana suit. So I'm going to first try to find the subject and remove him from the white background, which I've selected it here. So now I'm going to make a mask and layer and convert it to a smart object. That way it's easy to edit him. And now I'm going to drag Robert Pattinson on top of this image. Try to kind of fit him to the right size, but we can adjust the size later, so it's not a huge deal. But just to kind of get the right proportions and all that. After I'm done, I hit the check mark right there. To hit subject again to try to find him and select him out of the background. Next, I'm going to use the brush tool to make some fine-tuning improvements to add and subtract the parts that the find subject didn't do properly, such as his foot and his hand. So just gotta brush a little bit of that with the white and black to depending if you want to add it or subtract it, just like I am right here. Just very slowly, or you go faster, you change the brush size with the bracket keys on your keyboard. And yeah. Next, I'm going to convert this to a smart object. That way the mask is not a separate piece anymore. And then actually duplicate this 4 times so that I have 5 different pieces for his head, arms, and legs. So I'm going to do that next. As you can see, I'm going to name each layer. That way it's easier to edit later on because I will know which layer is for which body part, so I'm not just randomly guessing. Now I'm going to hit the eyeball tool on all the layers except for the head. That way they're all hidden. And then I'm going to actually make it where only the head is showing on the head layer. That way we can put it where the other banana guy's head is currently. I'm going to do this using the magnetic lasso tool to kind of grab around his head to pick out the good points, solid points where you need to capture where it is. I'm actually clicking a lot down at the bottom of his neck because I don't want it to get lost with the rest of his body. So now I just have his head left. I'm actually going to move it out of the way because I should have done this earlier, but now I'm going to actually remove the original head from the banana suit. So to do this, I'm going to grab the select tool and make it an ellipses. That way it's around the right size of his head. First, I'm actually going to rasterize this layer so that I can actually remove his face from the banana suit. So now I use the ellipses to capture most of his face in that part. And then I actually clicked Shift and Delete at the same time to pop up this menu right here. Here's where you can content-aware fill, which basically guesses what is supposed to be in there as if you got rid of that part. So I'm just going to hit OK on that, make sure it's content-aware and normal, and then click OK, and then it should clear it out like this. There's actually a little bit left from the bottom of his face down there, so I'm going to do the same thing. Shift Delete, OK, and there you go. Now it looks like yellow, and it's there. So I'm just going to move the new face onto it and rotate it a bit. Did not mean it to rotate like that. So I'm going to move his face onto it now, and then hit Edit, Transform, and then you can actually rotate it from here. Just turn it a bit to try to actually match the direction and angle of the original face. Just hit that check mark when you're done. Now I'm going to actually remove the rest of the limbs from the original Banana Man. So click on the banana layer down below and then use that magnetic lasso tool again to kind of grab the area that's next to his hand. So I'm just going to click on the important points. It'll add a few for you. On the outside right here, I really didn't need to go that precise because there's nothing else there, so I can kind of go loose. And then when you get closer to the inside, I'm going to click a lot more and then do that. So then I'm going to delete, just straight up delete, not shift delete. And then fix it a little bit more to make sure you clean up the little other bits. And now I'm just going to do that with the rest of the limbs as well. I'm just going to click a bigger chunk out here so I don't have to deal with as much important stuff in a second, and I have less to clean up after. Did it with that arm, and now I'm going to do it with this leg as well, and then the other leg. And yeah, basically that to get rid of all those limbs. Okay, so now that we're done with that, I'm going to click back on the move tool, make sure I don't mess with anything by mistake, and then actually reveal one of the other arms, which this one's the left arm. So now I'm going to use a magnetic lasso once again to pick out his left arm. And I don't have to be that precise again on the outside because it's just blank space, so it doesn't really matter on the outside. It's just as long as you have the inside. I just got a little bit picky and forgot, honestly. Now you just want to mask that again to do, oh yeah, I'm on the wrong layer. So I'm just going to undo that, scroll up to the right layer, and then hit that mask button again, and there you go. And you've got that arm pulled out. And you're just going to want to use the move tool to kind of get the right area, and then rotate it a little bit as well. And then kind of just adjust. You can also use the brush and the rotate tool and move tool to get the right positioning to make it look as realistic as you can in this quick photoshopping of Banana Man. Now I'm going to do the other arm as well. Same way I did the first one, just magnetic lasso. Click a lot on the inside, don't have to be that precise on the outside. That blurred hand makes it kind of difficult, but I'm just going to guess like that. And then there I'm just going kind of free. So I'll do that again, mask it, and then move it over and adjust. Now it's time for the left leg. I'm going to not fully do this one quite yet. I'm just going to I'm going to obviously use the magnetic lasso again and do all that, but I'm not going to fully adjust it yet because I want to do the other leg as well to make sure that they're on the same level. So spam click on the inside like I always do, and then I go free on the outside, close it off, and mask it. Now I'm going to move it and adjust. Move it down there because that's kind of where the original leg was. It looks kind of weird right now, but that's how the first one was. Just gonna rotate it a bit, all that adjusting good stuff, you know. Now I'm going to go to the right leg and get this one. See, that one's still showing. It's not done clearly because the leg does not come out of the front of the banana suit. So it'll span click, magnetic lasso. This foot's a little bit cut off, so I'm going to try to adjust to that a little bit, but not a lot I could do with that. Move this around. Brush a little bit out, that way it doesn't look too weird. Actually, I can probably just move this layer on top of it, so I'm just going to do that. That way you don't have to worry about perfectly lining it up, it'll just cover it. The banana will cover the actual legs, and then you don't have to brush away all of the left leg as well. So we're going to drag that above those two, and only those two, because you want the arms on top of the banana suit, obviously. So now that looks a little more like it's just coming from the back. There you go. There's your Banana Man. Banana Pattinson, as I like to call him. Yeah. I just want to save that. I like saving it as a TIFF. That way, if I want to go back and edit it later, I still have all my progress. A PNG will just flatten the image and you won't be able to mess with the layers later on, but a TIFF will keep all that without having it exclusively to Photoshop to open it like a PST would. So I'm just going to save that as Pattinson Banana. And then no compression because I don't want to make it all ugly and all that after all that hard work. Now to make the sunset part, do this little thing called right-clicking on the image and opening in Photoshop. And there's your beautiful sunset. Obviously I didn't make that. But I'm also going to use that rectangle thing. And see that person right there? I'm just going to select them and use that content aware fill skill again by hitting Shift Delete on them to just make it look like a regular background. Load. There you go. Now they're gone from the scene. And our more important Banana Pattinson can take their place. Just going to drop them in right here and try to shrink them down to decent size. It's not like solidified, you can always mess with it later. Now I'm just going to move them a little bit. Actually, I'm going to add an adjustment layer curve, which will basically change the colors of the image. And then I'm going to create a clipping mask. That way it only changes the color of Banana Pattinson, but not the actual sunset background. And then I'm going to actually modify the colors a little bit to make it look like he actually matches the sunset instead of standing out bright and sticking out like a sore thumb more than he already does in a banana suit. So you can see you mess with that curve line and change the different color settings. Add a few dots if you want to darken the darks and brighten the brights or whatever you want to do. And add a little bit of red and blue and all that because there's a lot of red and blue in the sky. Blend it in more. Now I'm going to actually scale it down a little bit. Make it fit a little bit more. Maybe rotate it. Actually, I think it's pretty good. There you go. There's your Banana Pattinson. Just going to, once again, save it as a TIFF. That way, if I ever want to come back and make it a little bit better even, then I have that option. And I can still send it to people and show off my skills, and they don't have to have Photoshop to open it up, so that's pretty nice. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. And enjoy Banana Pattinson on the sunset.